Firstly, all the ad revenue from this video will be going towards Come Back Alive, a charity that provides body armor, medical supplies, stuff like that to Ukraine's defense force. So forgive me if I'm rambling a little bit in order to elongate the video. A video that's 8 minutes or more can have more ads in it. So I'll be going over the top 5 biggest stadiums in the beautiful, independent, democratic nation of Ukraine. Chernobyl Stadium. Originally, this site was home to an athletics football hybrid stadium that dated back to the 1930s. It wasn't until just prior to the 2012 Euros, which Ukraine co-hosted with Poland, that the old stadium was demolished and in its place this fantastic football-specific stadium was constructed. Although the stadium was actually excluded from hosting any games at the tournament for some reason. The exterior features an incredible combination of modern glazing and these ornate, old-fashioned grand entrances. Just stunning. The interior is all modern and fairly standard by comparison. It does, however, have a bit of an interesting split-level design, and there appears to be a large amount of skyboxes. Oh, and I forgot to mention its location. It's perched above the Black Sea. Chernobyl, I'm probably mispronouncing that, means Black Sea Man, if I'm not mistaken. It's a shame you have to share this body of water with a maniacal dictator. Heading west, we have Arena Lviv. This stadium also features a very distinctive exterior. It's made up of a translucent facade that allows the skeletal structure of the stadium to be seen from the outside, especially in this section where the facade disappears. The interior is done up in the colours of Ukraine's flag, plus white. This side of the ground is very interesting. I love the design of these skyboxes, brings some of the flavour of the exterior to the inside. This stadium was actually one of the Euro 2012 venues. Interestingly, it's located right near a tank manufacturing plant, which actually gave up some of its land in order for this stadium to be built. Apparently they make very good tanks in Ukraine. It's a shame they have to use them, but since it's in self-defense, I hope the guns are quite operational when the Russians arrive. They already have, but you know what I mean. Metalist Stadium. It gets that name due to the stadiums and the clubs that play here's linked to the steel industry. Metalist, unsurprisingly, meaning someone who works with metal. Kharkiv was actually the capital of Ukraine back when the original stadium was built. Back then it was a modest venue with a cycling track around the field, but nowadays it's quite impressive. Due to a rebuild prior to the 2012 Euros, I'm gonna stop mentioning that, it's a reoccurring theme. During that rebuild, a brand new sloping roof was added, fittingly made of iron. The exterior features plenty of metal actually. I like it when a design plays into the team's history, but then again you kinda need metal to hold up heavy stuff, don't you? Very few cantilever roofs are made of bamboo. It is a bit surprising that the roof was added just a decade ago. It has a very old-fashioned, albeit charming look to it. It does kinda remind me of a less pronounced version of De Kuip in Rotterdam. The interior, not as much, is a simple, single-tiered elliptical bowl. Not too dissimilar to the toilet bowl that Putin sits on while sending thousands of young men to kill and die in his name. Surely he's a psychopath. I mean, how could he not be? Donbass Arena. The last time I mentioned this stadium just a couple of weeks ago, I had to point out that it was in fact in Russian-occupied territory. That quickly became irrelevant. Interestingly, the slope of the roof, which is the opposite of the last one, was actually supposed to help it blend into the undulating landscape. I don't think it does really. The slanted glass facade really stands out amongst the green surrounding parkland. The interior is quite stunning, and there's no track in sight. This is the largest football-specific stadium in the country, and is arguably the best stadium in Ukraine. It is, after all, I believe, the most expensive, having cost around $400 million to construct. But they definitely got what they paid for. Well, he got what he paid for. It was funded by Ukraine's richest man, who was a lot richer back in those days. Since 2014, his wealth has gone down significantly. but he's still comfortably a billionaire, so I don't feel too bad for him. He's also the president of Shakhtar Donetsk, who had to relocate to NSC Olimpijski. Ukraine's largest stadium will be 100 years old next year, but it unsurprisingly looks completely different back in the 1920s when it was built, with it consisting of a simple single-tiered bowl without a roof, but with some rather nice foliage surrounding it, I'll give it that. Or maybe that was just the painter using their artistic license. Anyway, not important. It wasn't until the 60s that the second tier of seating was added, and it was just prior to the 2012 Euros, that it got its roof made from fiberglass and fabric, which covers every seat in the house. The renovation transformed it from a kinda dull and uninspiring venue into this very vibrant stadium that we have today. It's now the biggest stadium in Eastern Europe with the capability of hosting athletics events. Just like Lviv, it's proudly done up in the national colours. It does after all host the national team about 50% of the time. Well, 25% of the time because they play away as well. And unlike its neighbour to the east, they don't invade their neighbouring countries, so other teams are quite happy to visit. So yeah, those were the 5 biggest stadiums in Ukraine. I'll talk a while longer just because, in case you missed the intro, the ad revenue is going to Come Back Alive, a Ukrainian charity. So, Putin's evil. And no, not an evil genius, just evil, with a fragile ego. I think it would be safe to assume that he has an extraordinarily small penis as well. Unlike this guy. And if there are any Ukrainian viewers watching, I wish you the best of luck. The free world is right behind you. Keep persisting and Slava Ukraini. I definitely pronounced that wrong. Glory to Ukraine. Still not 8 minutes. I guess I'll show some stock footage of your beautiful country for a while.